Hey everyone, Ryan from E-Bike Escape, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Haoqi Antelope dual battery electric bike, so let's get into it. Before we get into the walk around, if you are looking to purchase any Haoqi electric bike, please consider using the link in the description before completing your purchase. It's a free and easy way to help support the channel. Thanks in advance. I will also put links to our electric bike accessories, top e-bike brands page, and finally our electric bike discounts code page, where we track all the deals on the electric bike brands that we follow. With that, let's take a look at the Haoqi Antelope. One of the reasons that I decided to do this review was simply because this bike has two batteries, and I actually haven't reviewed an electric bike with two batteries, and it does come under $2,000 as far as price point goes. I'll put the current price on the screen, but just know that the prices can change. All right, with that, let's start with the walk around here. We'll start in the front of the bike. So we have mechanical disc brakes. These are actually unbranded. I believe on their website they say they're Tektro Aries, but I haven't been able to find any Tektro markings on these brakes. And I haven't yet started my filming with the first person riding footage, but initial impression of these brakes, maybe just a slight step down from the name brand Tektro that we often see on some of these more affordable electric bikes, but they don't feel too bad. We do have 160 millimeter rotors and a bolt-on front skewer, something to be aware of because if you do happen to get a flat, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get that wheel off and change the flat compared to a quick release. As far as tires go, you can see we have fat tires, 20 by 4 inches. These are Chow Yang, definitely some tread on there if you want to take it off-road. And this bike does come with both front and rear metal fenders, and you can see we have an included front light integrated into the battery. Seems about as bright as I often see on many electric bikes. Nothing special, going to provide some visibility at night, but if you're really riding a lot, I always recommend external lights that you can mount to your handlebars. Check out our electric bike accessories list for some suggestions. Now, you may have noticed these mag wheels. So these are not spokes. On the downside, they do add some additional weight, but on the plus side, you never have to worry about them being true. Plus, they look pretty cool. This might actually be the first bike that I've personally reviewed with the mag wheels. So I think they look really cool, but again, add a little bit of weight. And I should mention this bike, according to their website, weighs 84 pounds, which actually seems about right. So definitely a heavy electric bike. Of course, with two batteries, that is definitely going to play a role. Let's talk about the suspension. A fairly basic front suspension. I think I would have liked to see something a little bit nicer here. It does have a lockout. I'll go ahead and push on the front suspension to give you a little bit of an idea of what to expect. So as I push on this pretty hard, you'll note that the front suspension seems a bit stiff. It seems a little bit slow, both coming up and down. So in my opinion, while I really think the price point is good when you consider the battery capacity, maybe they could have put a little bit nicer front suspension on this bike. We do have some mounting points on the front here. I assume they have some accessories for sale. I always like to point out the cable management. So the cables are actually wrapped pretty nicely with this Velcro straps. Some companies will go ahead and put cable wrap, which hides all the cables, but actually this is pretty decent in my opinion. And those cables, most of the cables go into the frame on the left side with the light cable coming in on the right side. All right, let's move on to the cockpit. I already talked about the unbranded mechanical disc brakes. The levers are also unbranded. We have some fairly basic grips here. I've seen these before. There's definitely more comfortable ones on the market. if I were personally going to be riding this bike a lot, I would consider upgrading these grips. We have a simple 3-button control over here on the left side, power button, as well as the pedal assist buttons and a bell. And before we jump to the LCD, I'll just show you the right side, 7-speed thumb shifter. This is the Shimano thumb shifter. I've seen quite a bit. Gets the job done, but definitely a basic component, but something you'll see on electric bikes priced all the way down from around $1,000 up to, $2,000. I've seen this shifter. And on the right side, we do have a twist grip throttle. Again, it matches the grips. All right, let's talk about the LCD display. So we just have a monochrome LCD display. And what I do like about this display is it shows the temperature, currently 46 degrees, still pretty chilly here in Wisconsin. Just a monochrome display. We do have a battery capacity in the top left-hand side. Again, would have liked to see percentage. This is a pretty basic display. In the top right-hand side, we have the current wattage. I really like that. I like to pay attention to how many watts are actually going to the motor when I'm riding. I'll be sure to call that out in the first-person riding footage. We do have the current miles per hour nice and large there. That's always nice to see. Distance in the bottom left-hand side and time in the bottom right-hand side. And then, of course, we have the pedal assist, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Hitting the power button changes it to, it looks like average speed, max speed, and back to current miles per hour. All right, let's move on and talk about this frame. Step-through frame, actually really like that. For a dual battery bike, I think this actually is a pretty good design. You have the one battery here in the rear, I'll remove that in just a second, and then an integrated battery here in what I'll call the down tube. And we have some Haoqi branding on that battery, as well as their emblem here, it looks like. Now the battery can be charged both on and off the bike, both of them. And this enclosure here is going to house that controller, of course, and there's going to be a little bit more complexity with having those dual batteries. All right, now I'll go ahead and remove these two batteries. And just a note, the bike does come with 2 chargers, which is nice because they are slow chargers and you definitely want to be able to charge both of these batteries up at the same time. And I did ask Haoqi and they told me that it will drain one battery first and then move on to the second battery. So that's how this system is set up. All right, something I would have liked to see, but it actually doesn't surprise me, is that these batteries take 2 separate keys to remove them. And obviously they're completely different batteries with one being integrated. So go ahead and start with the one in the bottom of the frame here. There's a little clip that removes the battery. So 25 amp hours of total capacity. Now in the down tube, we have a 48 volt, 12 amp hour battery. I'll go ahead and put the battery back. And you don't need the keys in the bike in order to ride it, but you do want to make sure that this battery is locked. I always double check these batteries that are integrated into the down tube to prevent them from falling off. All right, let's move on to the rear battery. This is the Shark style battery. And not surprising, this is a 48 volt, 13 amp hour battery. Like I said, 25 amp hours of total capacity. Go ahead and put that back. Now, when you're thinking about battery capacity, I really view average capacity as around 14 amp hours. And that can be found on electric bikes down towards the $1,000 range, all the way up to $2,000, maybe even more. So the fact that this bike comes with 25 amp hours or about 10 amp hours more battery capacity, that's again why I chose to review this bike, is just because I think it's at a very interesting price point with dual batteries for someone who needs additional range. All right, next let's talk about the saddle. Very standard saddle on this electric bike. I do like to call them out when I feel like they're extra comfortable, though it's personal preference, but be sure to check out our electric bike accessories list if you're looking for something a little bit more comfortable. All right, let's talk about pedals. These are the metal pedals from Welgo that I see on so many electric bikes. And you'll notice that the kickstand is not located towards the rear, so the pedals can come in contact with the kickstand when you're moving it around. Maybe an improvement they can make in a future generation of this bike. Again, here's a closer look at the rear with those mechanical disc brakes as well as the rotor. The Haoqi Antelope does come with a rear rack, max capacity of 25 kilograms. And we do have the rear light, which I'll go ahead and turn on. This is a Bushel branded light, and most often I find with the rear lights, they leave a little bit to be desired, especially for daylight visibility. At night, they do provide some visibility. Again, I always recommend external lights if you really want to be seen. One thing I wanted to call out with these handlebars is there is a little bit of a swoop to them here to bring them a little bit closer to the rider. But what Haoqi did, because this is a little bit of a smaller frame, they did put all of these spacers in to lift the handlebars up. So as you're watching the third person riding footage, you'll get a better idea of how I fit on this electric bike as someone who's 6 feet tall. Let's move on to the rear of the bike. So with these mag wheels, we have the motor enclosed in here. I think that's really cool compared to some where you can really tell that there's a motor in there. This is actually looks pretty stealthy. Perhaps if you're not familiar with electric bikes, you might not even realize that this one is electric. Maybe you'd think it just has some cool looking wheels on it. The freewheel here is a Shimano one, and it's 14 to 28 tooth. And we do have a Shimano tourney rear derailleur here. Definitely an entry-level component, but one I sometimes see on electric bikes. But I do like that they did go with Shimano, a name brand. Most often with derailleurs like this, they get the job done. And if you need to make any adjustments, you can do so with the rear barrel adjuster here. Here's a look at that rear fender. Now, if you do decide to buy this bike, you might want to consider a chainstay protector. You can actually see there's some nicks already in the frame, and I actually haven't even ridden it a whole lot. The motor cable comes in to the right side here. Sometimes companies will include derailleur guards. I would have liked to see that here just as an extra precaution. Up front, we have a 48 tooth front chainring. All right, with that, let's get into some first-person riding footage, and we'll see what this 500-watt motor on the Haoqi Antelope can do. All right, let's get to some first-person riding footage on the Haoqi Antelope. I have my GPS speed here. This is the speedometer app by Cool Nicks. And one thing to note with this electric bike is the throttle does coincide with the pedal assist level. So I have it in pedal assist level 5, and that's going to give me full throttle. And so we'll start this test out with throttle only, and then I will go into the lower pedal assist levels and show you how much speed you can expect at each pedal assist level, and then also go through pedaling. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, throttle only. Pedal assist 5, 13, 16, 17, and there's 20 miles per hour, and the motor is cutting out. So I'm assuming they're selling this as a Class 2 electric bike. Let's go ahead and go down to a lower pedal assist level. There is pedal assist 4. Display showing about 18. GPS is 17 or 18. Go ahead and go into pedal assist 3. Again, still throttle only. 16 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist 2. 14 miles an hour, and pedal assist 1, 12 miles an hour. And I have to say that setting is actually fairly nice. Maybe some people would find it annoying, but if perhaps you're a new rider and you don't want all of that throttle, but you still want to be able to use it, you can be in a lower pedal assist level. It just makes it a little bit more accessible. All right, and a lot of people do ask me, can I ride whatever electric bike I'm reviewing without any power? Hopefully you don't run out of battery power on a dual battery electric bike. And, you know, it is possible pretty much on every electric bike, provided you're on flat ground. I'm in 4th gear right now, going about 9-10 miles an hour, but keep in mind, this is an 80-plus pound bike, so going up a hill is going to be a significant challenge. All right, let's go in the various pedal assist modes. We'll start in pedal assist 1 here. Feel like that was nice and accessible. Don't feel the motor kicking on a whole lot there. In 4th gear here, could probably shift up to 5th gear. Going about 12 miles an hour. This feels pretty good. 5th gear, pedal assist 1. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist 2. Again, just feeling that motor kick on just a little bit. Really like that, but I could shift up to 6th gear, I think. Going about 14, 15 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist 3. And this is probably where I definitely want to shift up. 7th gear. And my legs are starting to spin a little bit for sure. Not able to provide as much of my own power. Pedal assist 4. Again, same thing, but getting pretty close to that 20 miles an hour. Okay, so correction, now we're in pedal assist 4, and I do have it in 7th gear. Had to adjust the derailleur just quickly, but my legs are still spinning. I'm providing a little bit more effort. And again, pedal assist 5. Feel that motor kick on a little bit more, but we are getting to that 20 miles per hour where the motor is kicking off. So definitely able to provide some of your own power even at 20 miles per hour, though your legs are just going to be spinning a little bit faster. I always like bikes that are geared a little bit higher, say 11 teeth in the largest gear in the rear. So yeah, I mean, my legs are moving a little bit in pedal assist 5 here, but not too terrible. I've felt worse, of course, at higher speeds. That plays a large factor as well. All right, with that, let's get to the large hill climb test, and we'll see what this 500 watt motor can do. Okay, hill climb test. We'll put on the screen the specs of this hill as well as a picture because the GoPro makes it look much smaller than what it is. And we'll start out here with throttle alone. And I will note, I've been seeing the wattage peak just over 1,000 watts. So we'll get up to 20 miles per hour or so here and then see what this 500 watt, I guess nominal, 1,000 watt peak motor can do. And riding over here, I've been really just cranking on the throttle the whole way, just trying to wear these batteries down. I won't be able to do a full range test, they're just so time consuming. But I have put on just under 5 miles. Looks like one of the smaller bars is down on the battery, though I don't know if that's giving me an accurate reading with both batteries or how that works. Going about 13 miles per hour here. So just keep in mind with the dual batteries, you're going to get more range than you would, say, with just one 14 amp hour battery. I mean, 25 amp hours is pretty significant. 14. Actually, I think this motor's performing a little bit better than I expected for it being advertised as a 500 watt and for the bike being so heavy. So yeah, not too bad. I think very capable of handling hills, of course. Most people are going to provide at least a little bit of pedaling, though perhaps with a dual battery bike like this, maybe you do want to use it more as a electric moped. And hill is planing off here. All right, with that, I'm going to jump down the hill and do the same thing while pedaling. All right, hill climb test while pedaling. I'll go ahead and use the throttle just for a second and turn the pedal assist down just so I can shift down a little bit. All right, definitely getting a workout in third gear here. Pedal assist 1. I am going to go into pedal assist 2 and probably quickly shift higher. Or go into a higher pedal assist mode. Pedal assist 3, third gear. Definitely still getting a little bit of a workout here. Going about 9 miles an hour. Hill is probably at its steepest point here. Going to pedal assist 4. Again, I could shift down a little bit and make it very easy on myself. I always like to get a little bit of a workout though. And let's go ahead and go into pedal assist 5. There we go. And that's where I really saw the wattage jump on the display to 1,000 watts. And I'm in 7th gear right now. So it seems like pedal assist 4. So pedal assist 4, I'm getting like 500 watts here, just over. And then pedal assist 5 is where it gives the motor all of its power. So if you're going up a steep hill like this and you want to get up fast, definitely pedal assist 5, and you can even shift up to the highest gears. Going about 15 miles an hour, pretty good. And I was testing the brakes out going down the hill, and I did find that I really needed both of the brakes. I don't know if it's the longer cable run with the rear one. Maybe it needs to get adjusted a little bit. It does stop me on flat ground here, but I did have to use the front brake as well. Both of them combined to come to a complete stop. Again, down a very steep hill though. All right, with that, let's get into some third-person riding footage, and I'll give you my concluding thoughts on the Haoqi Antelope. The Haoqi Antelope's best selling point is, not surprisingly, the battery capacity. I personally have not found any e-bike with this large of a battery at sub $2,000. At 25 amp hours, it's about 10 amp hours more capacity than you'll find on the average budget priced e-bike. Beyond the battery, Haoqi was smart with the design on the Antelope, both making it a step through so it is accessible and raising the handlebars to make it more comfortable to ride. It's a cool looking bike and stands out, especially with those mag wheels. Finishing off the design, the cables are nicely routed through the frame and the controller is well hidden near the pedals. The Haoqi Antelope comes in silver, as you see here, as well as black. It's nice that Haoqi included all the accessories too, the fenders, rear rack, and front and rear lights. For those thinking about sizing while watching this footage, I'm 6 feet tall with a 32-inch inseam. The Bafang motor provides plenty of power even with this massive 84-pound bike. The Antelope comes shipped as a Class 2 electric bike, as was displayed in the first-person riding footage. For those curious, Haoqi advertises Class 3 mode on their website. Increasing the max speed in the advanced settings, I was able to get the bike up to 26 or 27 miles per hour while pedaling, and 23 or 24 miles per hour on throttle alone, though always be sure to be aware of your local laws and regulations. Perhaps the only thing I'd change on this bike is the front suspension, either to go without one completely and rely on the fat tires to keep the price low, or put a front suspension that actually provides some comfort on the road, even if that means it comes in at a higher price point. While the brakes do work to stop the bike, I actually managed to lock up the tires in my top speed run off camera. They could be improved upon with some still affordable name brand mechanical disc brakes. I think Haoqi is onto something with this price point and serving those who really prioritize battery capacity. It's a new brand to me, so I can't comment on their customer support, but it is a brand I'll be keeping an eye on since a majority of e-bike shoppers are looking for bikes in the $1,000 to $2,000 range. If you're planning to purchase from Haoqi, please use the link in the description prior to making your purchase to help support the channel. Thanks in advance. Other resources down in the description as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.